Our mission statement is Energise, Inspire, Connect, and that's certainly something that I've continued with right throughout the years, and something that I really promote to my staff and also to people that come with us. So it's been a long process from the dream to reality. It's gone from a seasonal business where rafting was our largest component to where now we're all year round with winter activities as well. We've gone through a process of winning an Alto Award in 2006 for sustainability, getting to this position of putting back into the adventure tourism industry by being president of PRO, which is the Professional River Outfitters in Alberta, LUCRA Treasurer, which is on the lower Kananaskis River here, and the development, if you've never been on the Kananaskis River here, it's quite a unique setting in the sense that we've developed the rapids. It's one of the few places in the world it's been done. And then a great experience was being on the TDR board for Travel Alberta and seeing the whole new perspective of small operators and large operators, and trying to include small operators in the whole process, so that the big guys didn't take over completely. As far as our socio-cultural side of things, we've developed an Aboriginal guide program on the reserve here. So we've put quite a few kids through becoming rafting guides and hiking guides and mountain guides, or mountain bike guides, sorry. And it's been very successful. It's a long process, but it's worthwhile, and we're working on it again this year to get that going. We've run a very strong interpretive program. When I first started running outdoor adventures, it was basically going down a river and adrenaline was the rush and adrenaline was the draw, whereas when you actually can tell stories and you make it interpretive, it's been wonderful. So I've got the conservation officers in the areas to help me with that, as well as local Aboriginals. We then had a big problem when we first started the company of training, and how do you train people to be outdoor adventure guides. So we started a Red Cross Wilderness First Aid course, so I helped develop that, and also a Swiftwater Rescue course through the City of Calgary, and then that was transferred over to the Life Saving Society, and then running a guide school. So developing a 2-week guide school so that you could actually teach the staff that were coming from all over the place, whether it be Sherry's College, Medicine Hat College, that, you know, what were the parameters that we wanted them to use when they were working in the out of doors, how we wanted them to instruct. So it was a long process to do. I've got into the habit now of hiring locally as much as I can. Got out of the system of hiring overseas staff. 2 years ago, 2008, there was a lot of publicity about bringing in overseas employees, and I've really stepped back from that. It's really quite a hassle as a small employer to get that many people to go through the whole process, whether it's a 12-step process of bringing staff from overseas. And then buying from local businesses, and that's certainly something that, although sometimes it might be more expensive, it certainly gives you a lot of credence and a lot of kudos. Some of the problems we're dealing with as an eco-adventure tourism company are permits within parks. Just parks out here in provincial parks. There's certainly issues with the distribution and the giving out and buying of permits, and national parks will certainly be some issues there as well. Hiring and retaining staff is always an issue. It's an interesting sort of process of how do you keep staff for the whole year? How do you keep them there till the end of August to the end of September? And there's been a lot of sort of systems that we've used over time. We've also seen quite a trend as far as accidents in the out of doors. Usually occur with staff that have worked for you about 50 days. It's called the second year syndrome. So the people that have accidents in guiding are quite often the second year guides. And then there's another factor that starts to come in from a 4 to 7 year factor in adventure tourism, is that people who have worked for you that long seem to think they can run the business better than you, and they actually start to take contracts from you, and they either stay with you right throughout, or they want to run their own business, and they start to take all sorts of bits and pieces from your business. So it happens to everybody. And then there's a real trend also in the outdoor tourism and outdoor adventure industry of hiring people over 25 years of age, and it's purely for insurance reasons. So whether they're driving vehicles, etc., and it's a major concern. So I haven't fallen into that. I still hire kids in 18, 19 and work them through, but there is this trend occurring in the outdoor adventure industry. Insurance is a big problem with us, whether you can get it. Firstly, how much you need to get. So we've gone up to 5 million, even though the provincial government doesn't ask for that. And then the cost for insurance is really going through the roof. So it's increasing. So it's stabilised over the last 2 years, but it was a dramatic increase before that. We've got issues with landholders, and this is going to be something that's going to evolve. A classic situation occurred out here on Horseshoe Canyon on the Bow River last year, where TransAlta closed us down. Now, if you've never been on this section of river out here, there's a reason why they shoot all the movies out there. It's absolutely spectacular. So it's a great tourist attraction. But TransAlta just shut the gate and said, you're not coming in for safety reasons. We had to increase our liability insurance up to 5 million. And there was no resolution, even though the reserve here, Stoney Nakoda Development, were very happy to have us on the land. They never really came up with a reason as to why they weren't letting us on there. So we didn't get onto the river till near the end of June, which took out a lot of business for us in a seasonal business. So these are some of the issues. Issues with farmers, with landholders who have freehold and access to rivers, these and to land. These are going to be issues in the future as well. And then the cost of being sustainable sometimes. You know, do I go solar? Do I stay on the grid? And we went solar, and there's certainly some disadvantages with it of going solar, especially when it's minus 30 or minus 40. And then we did staff shuttles and things like that. So to financially run a company like this, you rely on your own sort of investment in developing staff, developing programs. The provincial government, through things like TDR grants, is wonderful, especially for small operators. Bans on the reserves here have been great supporters and see that tourism in the future for their kids is a great thing to do, to get these kids out and actually doing these activities. Corporate, we actually approach quite a few companies, have enhancement funds. Shell is a classic example. Local community associations and camps in Bragg Creek, they help me with that. Federal programs such as Service Canada and summer employment programs are things you can tap into. So some of the lessons from the trenches that I've experienced have certainly, if I was to do it all again, I'd buy a pre-existing company. I would certainly start a company, and you think about what your profit margins are going to be at running an outdoor ecotourism company, and you're looking in the range of about 11 to 18% of running a company like we run. Yet some people expect that you're going to make 50% or 30%. Banks want you to make 30%, but that's just not the way it is. Packaging programs, lots of variations there, and getting involved in more of that. If I was to do this again, I'd have a business coach. I have got one now and a couple of people that mentor me, but I'd certainly do that. And don't try and be everything to everybody from the beginning. So to finish off, believe in what your vision is, believe in what your mission statement is, work with positive people, people you can trust. I only try and work with those sorts of people. Hiring more Aboriginal staff, I'm sorry I haven't been able to talk more about that, and developing corporate programs. Suddenly the corporate world is starting to realise about workplace wellness. Just one thing I want to finish off with that is one of our challenges. It's a numbers game of putting people down a river or out hiking and things like that. And we are going through a situation now with discounts of people are cutting back and half-price trips. And when you look at things like Groupon and Social Living and Swarm Jam, of where you can get these amazing deals to go in the out of doors, there's something that's not being done then. And one of the things could be safety, could be the experience, could be the eco side of it. And that's what's really sort of lacking. And then the other big one that we experienced this summer was percentages to concierges in hotels. It was quite dramatic, and this little underworld sort of underground sort of business of whether you had to pay 25% or whatever to get a client was pretty crazy. So overall, believe in what you do, see the big picture of running an ecotourism company has been certainly in good stead for me in the past. Thanks.